Meanwhile, an attempt to bring issues relating to the CMU into the Senate debate to amend the Petroleum Act got heated and led to a walkout by opposition senators. This after a disagreement between Senate President Tom Tavares Finson and opposition Senator Lambert Brown. Senator Brown was accused of bringing irrelevant matters into the debate to transfer over $200 billion from the Petrocarib Development Fund to the Ministry of Finance.
The Petroleum Amendment Act 2019 paves the way for the change of status of the Petrocarib Development Fund from a private body to a central public body. Under the legislation, all monies, rights and obligations of the fund will be transferred to the government. This is part of an agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Speaking on behalf of opposition senators, Lambert Brown had concerns about how the monies will be used.
This $208 billion can be spent corruptly or can be spent for the good order and development of Jamaica. I pray that it is not spent in the way I see some of the money from the consolidated fund in which this is going to go and pass to the Ministry of Education have been spent.
Then there were questions about whether monies from Petrocarib Fund was given to the Caribbean Maritime University, CMU.
I want to know if that money to CMU is a liability that has to be paid back. And who have to pay it back? Because, Mr. President, since the minister gave no answer then, I want to know, given what I've heard coming out of Parliamentary Committee and the CMU, whether or not we're operating through CMU a kickback scheme.
The opposition senator would then get the first of many warnings about sticking to the issue at hand. Senate President Tom Tavares Finson felt that the issues being highlighted were not relevant, but Mr. Brown continued.
Did Ms. Doreen Miller receive even a single cent of that nearly $4 million? Mr. President, I don't need an answer from the government. Ms. Miller has spoken to me, and she said not a single cent of that came to her.
Good.
She said
Senator
to me,
Brown, with the greatest of respect, if that be the case, maybe you need to give a statement to the PAC.
Anybody want a statement, come and ask me for it.
Several objections were also made by government senators who insisted that Mr. Brown was going against the House standing orders. Mr. Brown, however, would not relent.
Mr. President, the people of Jamaica need to know, was the helper asked to open a bank account, but the bank card and the bank information were controlled by a family member of the minister.
1 minute. Senator Brown, come on.
I think, Mr. President, a point of order. I think you, a while ago, just articulated the importance of not just sticking to the bill, but where this is a matter that is in the public domain being investigated. It is not
concerned about what is being investigated or not. I'm dealing with the question of relevance. Senator Brown, such statements that you are making are not relevant to the debate, and I so rule.
This would go on for several minutes, forcing the Senate President to rule.
Under Section 43(1), it is my ruling that you discontinue your presentation and resume your seat.
Mr. President, if it is your desire to run a parliament where the majority muzzles the minority, do that without my presence.
And so the opposition senators walked out. But before the proceedings continued, Mr. Tavares Finson explained that he was left with no choice because the references made by Mr. Brown in his contribution to the debate were not relevant to the bill. But as the debate continued, opposition senators called a press briefing.
I am the one making the speech. I am the one who has been interrupted by the president and others because they are afraid of the truth and the transparency that we bring to the Senate.
It is perfectly appropriate for Senator Lambert Brown to now caution about the use of the fund once it goes into the consolidated fund.
The legislation was nonetheless passed in the upper house.